Hey everyone, this is Jim for SDC International Shipping. I'm here with Rob. Rob, how's it going today?
Going good, Jim. How's everything with you? Good morning.
Good morning. Everything's really good. I had a few questions, a few things on my mind I thought we could talk about today. The first one is quick story. The other day I got something in the mail and I had ordered it online. It was shipped to me and the shipping container was so flimsy. It looked like somebody had basically put it together on their kitchen table. And not that you can't pack things decently on your kitchen table, but it was just kind of like thrown together. And I thought to myself, it was amazing, the way shipping can be sometimes that it arrived in one piece. And so thankfully it did. I didn't have to return it. I didn't have any issues. But I thought about, when you're paying for something, you want to make sure that it gets from point A to point B in one piece, of course. But when we're talking about something like international moving, I mean, we're talking about boxes and crates and some very delicate, expensive items in many cases. And so when I'm thinking about the potential of moving my entire household with all of those household goods from point A to point B, which is in another country, however far it happens to be, what I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to pay more money than I have to pay to get my goods there, but I want to make sure that that the company that I'm choosing isn't going to take like some shortcuts and use inexpensive packing materials. And but if you've never been through this process before, what do you, as the person who is having their goods moved, what should you be thinking about? What should you be looking out for? What questions even should you be asking?
Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good broad sort of macro question, but it can be answered somewhat concisely. And you're right. I'll start by saying that in the international moving shipping world, there tends to be, or there can be, different types of players. There are brokers. So you go on a website, looks like a company. You talk to somebody, maybe sounds like a company, but it's a salesperson. And all they're going to do is sort of try and get you on the hook, and go and subcontract who knows who. It could be people at Home Depot to come and pick your stuff up and pack it. That's the worst case scenarios. All the way to large companies that really aren't in the international shipping. That's not really their bread and butter. That's not what they do. It's a tiny, tiny speck of a side business. And again, they're going to quote you low. And if there's more cost, well, it is what it is. It's not a big deal. So it's important. My point there is to maybe understand who you're working with. And there's a couple ways to do that. I think the first is when you're speaking to someone, like you're speaking with me or anyone else at STC International Shipping, relocation specialists, do they really understand conversationally, what's going on? And have they listened enough to understand what you, the client, what your needs are? In terms of needs, typically for an international household relocation, move, shipment, what we need to understand is, what are you moving? How many cubic feet? What's the volume? How much space is occupied on the truck if you're moving to Canada or Mexico? Or on the boat, is it less than container load, shared container, or is it full container, a 20-foot, a 40-foot, etc.? So we really want to understand that component, and then they should want to understand what the actual needs are. So obviously, I'm going to handle a 19th century glass curio cabinet differently than I am going to, a 2-drawer metal filing cabinet. It's going to be a little different. Both are going to go from point A to point B identically, but it's important to understand that, because either someone's going to cut a corner and it's going to get damaged, or they're going to come back with surprise charges. So we really want to understand everything. So that's a really important piece, is that people the company that is going to be working and doing the shipment really has taken the time and listened to understand, and also then ask questions, because there are certain things that we need to understand as well. Is this a 19th floor walk up in the middle of Manhattan? It's going to be a little different than, pulling up to a street front home in Omaha, Nebraska. So those are the big things, really. The other things that I tell clients, besides, just getting a good feel for the person you're talking to, and also looking at reviews on Yelp and Better Business Bureau and Google, the ones that can't really be influenced at all, is to, make sure that you're dealing with a company that is giving you a quote, a very professional quote that has all the details. This is what we're doing. This is what we're not doing. And is not asking for any money up front. That's really important. The company's asking for money up front. That makes me, and that's a flashing red flag kind of thing. So those are really the big ones. Getting a good gut feel for the folks that you're working with is the biggest one, though.
Now, with SDC, let's say that you have all of my information. You give me the quote. And when I say you, I mean whoever the representative happens
Right.
to be that I'm talking to. Now, am I going to work with that person, or do I work with the specialist for the country I'm going to next, or are both people still involved in that communication chain?
Good point. So there's a relocation specialist. It could be me. It could be any of our specialists here at the company that are experts in, generally, putting quotes together and understanding what the needs are and that whole thing. Then once our client books with us, we've kind of put a stake in the ground. This is what we're doing. It's changeable, of course, but we put a stake in the ground. And then we're going to introduce a logistics and support specialist that comes in. The relocation specialist is not out, but now there's just an additional party that's put in to make sure that we have all the paperwork that we need. We might need document A, document B, but in Australia we need something different, and those types of things to make sure that everything's smooth. And then the relocation specialist and relocation logistics specialist is also, after the fact, going to keep in communication and become the primary point of communication, point of contact for the client as the shipment is on the way. We're not going to blow anyone's email box up saying, hey, it's, every day once it's on the water. But when there's certain milestones that are met, or if there's something that's needed, obviously we're going to reach out and communicate. So, what we do is full door-to-door service, as opposed to, thanks, we've got your stuff, it's on a boat, we think, we don't do that.
Yeah. So red flag number one would be you don't want a company that wants the money up front or a deposit down. I mean, unless I guess there can be a legitimate reason why every now and then you need something. But is there any other red flags that come to mind?
Let me talk about the deposit. A cash deposit's very much a red flag. Giving a credit card number and authorizing a deposit of something, maybe a 10% deposit. Yeah, that's very reasonable, because any company that's legitimate is going to have to protect themselves from, hey, we showed up on Saturday with a crew of 6 and this person was gone. We might need to recoup some of that cost. So there is a little bit there. But when they're asking for money up, an actual wire transfer or something up front, that's no good. Any other red flags? Really, it's just, like I said, the gut feel, talking to a relocation specialist who really can understand and expound on the process and answer questions quickly. There are a lot of countries out there, and not everyone is versed on every possible detail of every country. That would be, unreasonable. But for the most part, just get that feeling. Those are really the red flags. Understand, if you're working with a broker or a real company, the reviews are tremendously important. Better be BBB, Yelp, Google, and that sort of thing.
I don't know if you could answer this question. I'm just going to throw it out there, but how would I know if I'm talking to a broker or a real company, like right away? Is there one thing to look out for?
If I think I'm talking to ABC and it might be a broker, not a moving company, I again go back to the reviews is really the best way.
Yeah.
In this technological age, anybody can be anything, anywhere.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of go to a different level, a different layer of investigation. It's not a big deal, but just look at the reviews. If they've got 600 reviews, and like us, we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reviews, thousands, I guess, and they're 4.5 stars.
Yeah.
then you understand that this is a company that is legit.
Yeah.
You know,
And I understand the reason why, because a broker may decide to offload some of the shipment to a very cheap company that's going to not take care of one of the things about buying anything today is that if you want to choose someone down on the price, often the person on the other end is just going to use cheaper, whatever,
that's
low
right.
cost, whatever, in order to meet that price point. And then you wind up unhappy with the end result because
They had nothing to do with it. They just took your money.
they just, yeah,
Hired someone else, who hired someone else, who hired someone else, who hired someone else for less and less and less and less. I don't want to get into the weeds because we've already gone pretty long. But I was speaking with a gentleman in New Orleans. We are talking about business. This was after Katrina, the hurricane that destroyed everything, and he was talking about his buddy had a company won a bid to clean up all the, I guess, the knockdown telephone poles or something, some damage. He won the bid to clean everything up. And all he did was win the bid at a high price, hire somebody else. They said, great, hired someone else for less. They said, fantastic, hired someone else for less. Everyone, and so the service was ridiculous,
yeah.
But that's kind of what they did. Anyway, I digress.
You had a bunch of high school students doing the final cleanup.
Right. Yeah. It's like, what's going on here? Couldn't they have just gone to the lower price person? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a different situation, obviously. But yeah, you've got to be careful of brokers that are just looking for, someone off a Craigslist, with a pickup truck.
Yeah. Well, Rob, as always, we'll put your information on the screen. Great talking to you today. Good information. And as always, we know that as long as you're available to pick up that call, you'll pick it up. So for
Absolutely.
those of
Always.
you watching, if you want to connect with Rob, there's his number. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, share it with a friend, share it online, email wherever you happen to be. And we'll see all of you in the next video.
Sounds good. And if I answer a phone and I don't sound like this, it's because this bronchitis that I've had it's taken residency in my voice for about 3 weeks. So I may sound a little different. I won't have my wrestling voice, but it's me.
Well, feel better, Rob. I'll look
Thanks.
forward to talking to you in the next one.
Okay, sounds good, Jim. Talk to you soon.
All right.